Now triptans. So the triptans group of drugs, using here the triptan group of drugs. So actually the headache of the migraine, this is following something curve like a parabola, something like this. Okay, so when you are using non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, then what happens? This is the baseline 0. Okay, when you are using non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, then this pain is just reduced up to this much. Okay, but it is not abolished totally. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs is there. Okay, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs is unable to abolish the pain totally. Okay, but when you are using triptan group of drugs, they are causing this. What is this? Actually this triptan, this is a triptan is totally reducing the pain, and now the pain is 0. Okay, at the 0 level, triptan is reset the pain at the 0 level. Okay, so this is the graph. So now the triptan group of drugs, okay, so first I'm going to talk about the triptan group of drugs. Those drugs are specific or selectively, triptan group of drugs are selectively these drugs are selectively activates your 5-HT1B 1D receptor. Okay, so the triptan group of drugs, they are selectively activates, the 5-HT1B 1D receptors. Okay, so now next point about the triptans. This is the first line of drug. Triptans are the first line of drug. Okay, triptan are the first line of drug to treat the migraine. When patient who fails to respond the analgesics, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, then you should go for the triptan therapy. Okay, so triptan is used for moderate to severe migraine. Okay, when there is no response to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, then you should use triptan. Okay, so this is the first point about triptan. This is the second point about triptan. Now next point about triptan is your what? Next point about your triptan, this is here I am writing. So this is the first line of drug. So now example of some triptan. First of all I am writing sumatriptan. Okay, sumatriptan, this is first point about the sumatriptan. This is the most commonly used, drug. Sumatriptan is the most commonly used drug. Okay, next point, which is the most important about the sumatriptan, this is only the triptan which has anti-emetic property, this is beneficial. Okay, so you are giving sumatriptan to reduce the pain. Not only that sumatriptan is reduce the pain of migraine, as well as it also reduce the nausea, the vomiting tendency. Okay, so only triptan with anti-emetic, this is your sumatriptan. Next most important point, sumatriptan, it has less oral bioavailability. So it has less oral bioavailability. It is 15%. So the sumatriptan, it is the most commonly used triptan. Okay, it is also it has antiemetic property. It has less oral bioavailability. It is 15% only. Okay, so next point about the sumatriptan, here I am writing the next point about sumatriptan. It is also available as a nasal spray. I am writing here sumatriptan is available as nasal spray. Available as nasal spray. Not only sumatriptan, there is also another triptan which is called your zolmitriptan. Zolmitriptan is also available as nasal spray. So sumatriptan and zolmitriptan are available for nasal spray. Okay, so this sumatriptan, this is very specific to its receptor. This sumatriptan, this is very specific to its receptor. What is this receptor? This is your 5-hydroxytryptamine 1B 1D receptor, and your sumatriptan is not interacting with other receptors, like it has no interaction with other receptors, like your 5-HT2 receptors or 5-HT3 receptors, or from 5-HT4 to 7, all receptors. It has no interaction with those receptors. And not only that, your sumatriptan or triptan group of drugs, those are selective. Also, it is not acting on alpha or beta adrenergic receptors. It is not acting on those receptors also. So sumatriptan, it has no effect on these receptors. Also, it has no effect on alpha beta adrenergic receptors. And not only that, it has no effect on dopaminergic receptors. Dopaminergic receptors. Your sumatriptan, it is also not acting on your dopaminergic receptors, cholinergic receptors, GABAergic receptors, cholinergic receptors, or cholinergic acetylcholine receptors, cholinergic receptors, or GABAergic receptors, GABA receptors. Okay, so your triptan group of drugs are not acting on those receptors, so they are very specific. This group of drugs are very specific to its own receptor, which is 5-hydroxytryptamine 1B 1D receptors. Okay, so this about the sumatriptan. So it has antiemetic property. Okay, less oral bioavailability is very less, oral bioavailability is very less. And when sumatriptan it is injected, when sumatriptan, it is the only injectable triptan. Sumatriptan is the only injectable triptan. So only injectable triptan is the sumatriptan. And when it is given as subcutaneous injection, then rapidly and completely absorbed. Okay, then sumatriptan is the only injectable triptan, and not only that, it has only antiemetic property. Okay, and this sumatriptan, when it is injected subcutaneously, it's showing rapid and complete absorption. This about the sumatriptan. So now let's talk about the another triptan, which is your rizatriptan. Rizatriptan is the fastest acting triptan. So the fastest acting triptan is your rizatriptan. Okay, and not only rizatriptan, there is also alitriptan. It is also fastest acting, but rizatriptan, it is the fastest acting and it's showing high efficacy. So efficacy is high in case of rizatriptan, showing the fastest onset of its action, fast acting and highly effective. Okay, high efficacy. Okay, and there is also another drugs, triptan group of drugs. This is your phlovatriptan and naratriptan. Phlovatriptan, naratriptan, they are showing slow onset of their action, but longer acting. They are longer acting. Okay, so these triptans are used. When these triptans are used, then there is decreased recurrences of headache. It reduces the frequent recurrences, the frequent headache. Okay, so when phlovatriptan and naratriptan, they showing what? Slow onset of action but longer acting. They starts their work slowly but they work for long duration. Okay, so one important point about the phlovatriptan is it has longest T-half. Half-life is longest. Phlovatriptan among the triptan is your phlovatriptan. Clear? So next, this is about the triptans, and another triptans I want to add here. This is your almotriptan it has highest oral bioavailability. So the triptan which has highest oral bioavailability is almotriptan. Clear? So this is about the triptans. Now the side effects or contraindications. So contraindications, this I already told, these triptans are causing what? Vasoconstriction. These triptans are potent vasoconstrictor. So these triptans are contraindicated in case of ischemic heart disease. Okay, and they are contraindicated in case of hypertensive patient. Okay, these triptans are sedatives. Okay, these triptans are also contraindicated in case of patient with epilepsy. And not only that, if there is any hepatic renal impairment, if any hepatorenal impairment is there, then also the triptan group of drugs are contraindicated. So, and also in case of the pregnancy, why? Because during pregnancy your triptan causing what? Triptan, it is actually vasoconstrictor. It constricts your blood vessels, and when the blood vessels are constricted, then through the umbilical vessels, what happens? Now your blood supply to fetus reduced. So reduced blood supply to fetus due to vasoconstriction, potent vasoconstriction. That's why it is problematic for the fetal growth. Okay, and the triptan group of drugs should not give to the patient which patient like driver, pilot, or any, that means those patients who need a constant concentration. Why? Because this triptan group of drugs, they are sedatives, they are breaking your concentration. So one point, that is the patient should be cautioned not to drive after the intake of triptan. Okay, so these are the triptans. So important points about triptans: the rizatriptans. Rizatriptan is the most fastest acting and showing the highest efficacy. Clear? Highest efficacy. But the most commonly used is your sumatriptan, which is also available as nasal spray. But when you give it orally, it has very low oral bioavailability, which is 15%, and this also has an antiemetic property, which is important, beneficial for the migraine. And this sumatriptan, it also given as subcutaneous injection, and when you give it as subcutaneous injection, then it shows its rapid action and it's completely absorbed. Okay, and highest oral bioavailability for is your almotriptan. Okay, this is the almotriptan showing the highest oral bioavailability. But this triptan group of drugs is contraindicated in patient with ischemic heart disease, or patient with hypertension, or patient with epilepsy, any hepatorenal impairment, or pregnant woman. Okay, so although one point which I want to mention here, during pregnancy the migraine attack is reduced. During pregnancy, the migraine attack is reduced. But during menstrual days, okay, during menses, the chances of migraine attack is increased in case of females. Okay, but during pregnancy, the chances of migraine attack is reduced. So next, this is about the triptans. Important some points about the triptans. Those are the 5-HT selective receptor agonists. Okay, so now non-selective receptor agonists. Okay, under this non-selective receptor agonist, here I am going to talk about the ergot alkaloids. So these ergot alkaloids, actually the source of these ergot alkaloids or its hydrogenated product, so the source of this ergot alkaloid or its hydrogenated product, like hydrogenated product is like dihydro ergotamine, and in ergot alkaloids there is your ergotamine. Okay, so what is the source of these ergots? Source is your a fungus called Claviceps purpura. Claviceps purpura fungus, which is generally grown on rye, millet like cereals. So the Claviceps purpura fungus is the source for your ergot alkaloids. Is the Claviceps purpura fungus, which is generally grows on the rye, millet like cereals. Okay, so one important point which I want to mention, this is your ergotism. ergotism, or previously this ergotism is also called St. Anthony's fire. So now what is ergotism and what is the St. Anthony's fire? This is nothing but your epidemic of ergot poisoning, So epidemic of ergot poisoning is called your ergotism. It's called your ergotism, which is previously known as St. Anthony's fire. This is nothing but the epidemic of ergot poisoning, which is grown on the rye, millet, etc. So what is this? Here you can appreciate in this diagram, in this peak, that these are the digital gangrenes, dry digital gangrenes. Okay, these are the dry digital gangrenes. So digital gangrenes, which is dry digital gangrenes. So this dry digital gangrene is due to what? Your ergot alkaloids like ergotamine, ergot alkaloids, they are what? They are your 5-HT. Actually they are causing vasoconstriction. They are not selective or non-specific. This ergot alkaloid, it acts on the 5-HT 1B 1D receptor. It also acts as alpha blocker. It also acts as D2 receptor, dopaminergic receptor agonist. Okay, that means your ergot alkaloids, it is not specific. Not only that, it also acts on various other serotonergic receptors also. Okay, so these ergot alkaloids, this is not specific for the serotonergic receptors. It may act on alpha adrenergic receptors and block it, and maybe dopaminergic receptors also. But the major function of the ergot is your vasoconstriction. It's causing vasoconstriction via acting on the serotonergic receptors. When there is a vasoconstriction, what happens? The digital vasospasm is there, and due to this digital vasospasm, what happens? Digital gangrene. Okay, digangrene. And not only this is one the side effect of the ergots, another side effect of your ergotamine or ergot alkaloids is your miscarriage. Okay, why? Because already I told, it reduces the blood supply. It reduces the blood supply to fetus. It reduces the blood supply to fetus via constricting the artery of the placenta, which is mainly umbilical veins, umbilical arteries. Okay, and due to reduced blood supply, what happens? The fetus is unable to grow. Not only that, your ergotamine causing another function. It increases the nausea, increases the chances of nausea and vomiting. Okay, due to why it increases the nausea and vomiting, and in migraine obviously there is a symptom of nausea and vomiting is there already. That's why your ergotamine is worsen the nausea and vomiting in migraine. And these ergot alkaloids, they are actually stimulating your chemo trigger zone of brain. CTZ of the brain is stimulated by these ergot alkaloids, and due to this, what happened? There is increased chances of nausea. That is why this is not used generally in case of migraine. But when the patient failed to respond in triptans, then the second line of drugs to treat migraine, the second line of drug to treat migraine as a alternative of triptan, as an alternative of triptan, this is your ergot alkaloids. This is your ergot alkaloids. But they are working very effectively. When you give ergot, suddenly there is no headache in patient, okay, but they worsen the nausea and vomiting in migraine, okay, and various other side effects are also there. Okay, so now they are the second line of drug for to treat the migraine, to generally moderate to severe migraine, okay, moderate to severe migraine. And they are also contraindicated, obviously. In case of contraindicated, obviously ergots are also vasoconstrictor, contraindicated in case of ischemic heart disease. You should not give this, okay. So one important point which I want to mention, let me tell you that normally all alpha blocker, they are causing what? Vasodilation. Normally all alpha blocker causing vasodilation, but ergot derivatives is also showing some alpha blocking property. It's also showing some alpha blocking property, and not only that, it's also stimulate the 1D receptor, serotonergic receptor, 5-HT1D, 1B1D receptors. Due to this, what happens? Vasoconstriction is there. So what I want to mention here, that although ergot is a potent alpha blocker, that means alpha adrenergic receptor blocker, still it is causing vasoconstriction. Via another receptor, okay. So this is normal. What happens normally? Alpha antagonist or vasodilator, but ergot is also an alpha antagonist, but it causing vasoconstriction via acting on this receptor. This is something interesting fact, okay. So this is about the ergots. Now when there is severe attack of migraine, that means more than 2 to 3 attack per month, then there is an important for prophylaxis of the migraine. Now already I told, in case of moderate to severe migraine, we can use triptan as ergot alkaloid as first line of triptan as a first line drug, and ergot as second line drug, okay. But ergot is increasing your nausea and vomiting, that is why this is not the drug of choice. So triptan is the drug of choice in case of moderate to severe acute migraine. But this triptan and ergotamine, they has no role in prophylaxis. So this triptan and ergotamine, they has no role in prophylaxis of the migraine. So when the attack is more than 2 to 3 per month, headache is intolerable, okay, person is unable to work his daily life works, okay, then what happens? The prophylaxis of the migraine is important. So now next topic is drugs for prophylaxis of migraine. Drugs for prophylaxis of migraine. Under this property, under this category, I already told, though the triptan is the first line of drug, the drug of choice for acute migraine in acute migraine, but it has no role in prophylaxis. Triptan as well as ergotamine, no role in prophylaxis. And one important point, obviously you should remember, it is contraindicated, both triptan and ergotamine, in ischemic heart disease or coronary artery disease. Okay, and you should not give this to those patients. Okay, and now the drugs for prophylaxis of migraine. First group of drugs is your beta blocker. And within this beta blocker, most widely used, you already know that most widely used drug is your tell me, propranolol. Okay, propranolol. And there is also, you can use the beta 1 selective metoprolol, or you can use the non-selective thymolol. Clear? So you should remember the mnemonic: pre-medical test, PMT. Okay, so beta blocker for the prophylaxis of the migraine. First, the drug of choice, this is your this one. Drug of choice for the prophylaxis of migraine is your propranolol. Okay, which is most widely used. And you can also you may also use the beta 1 selective drug like metoprolol and thymolol, which is non-selective in nature. Now next group of drug after the beta blocker, this is your what? Calcium channel blocker. In short, CCB, calcium channel blocker. This within this calcium channel blocker, most important one is your flunarizine. Okay, flunarizine. So this is the most important calcium channel blocker which is used as the to treat the migraine, and is the prophylaxis of the migraine. Okay, so this flunarizine, it's not only the calcium channel blocker, it's also block sodium channel blocker, and also showing antioxidant property. Clear or not? Next group of drugs is your anti-epileptic, or you can say anticonvulsants. So anticonvulsants. Under this group of drug, the important is Togava. What is this Togava? Topiramate, gabapentin, and valproate. So these are the important anticonvulsants. You can remember Togava. topiramate, next gabapentin, and next valproate. Clear? These are the anticonvulsants which is used in the prophylaxis of the migraine. Okay, but the drug of choice, you can remember, obviously it is the beta blocker. Next group of drugs for the prophylaxis of migraine, it is your the tricyclic antidepressant, tricyclic antidepressant, TCA, and important one is your amitriptyline. Amitriptyline, the most important tricyclic antidepressant, it is your amitriptyline. Next is your next group of drug, you can also use this is your clonidine, or you can also use the botulinum toxin, botulinum toxin A. Botulinum toxin A, actually this is a muscle relax, this causing muscle relaxation. Muscle of the forehead is relaxed after you inject the local injection of local injection of botulinum toxin, causing the relaxation of the contracted muscles and reduce the pain of the forehead. Okay, next one, this is your the 5-HT2 blocker. These are the drugs for the prophylaxis of the migraine, and under this 5-HT2 blocker there is your pizotifen, and next one is your cyproheptadine. And one important point to note that this drug cyproheptadine, it's not only the 5-HT2 blocker, this is also antihistaminergic and antimuscarinic and blocking property, showing this blocking property. Okay, they actually the antagonist to this. And next one is your methotrexate. Most important point about this, it has most common adverse effect. Most common adverse effect, it is causing what? It is causing retroorbital or retroperitoneal fibrosis, retroorbital or retroperitoneal fibrosis, and also causing sometimes obviously pulmonary fibrosis also, pulmonary fibrosis. Okay, so these are the drugs for the prophylaxis of the migraine. So now new drugs for the migraine. New drugs for the migraine. So I already told the drug of choice for the prophylaxis, this is your beta blocker, propranolol. Clear? So this is something fact based, these things are little bit fact based. Okay, so next, new drugs for the migraine. I already told one peptide, neuropeptide, that is calcitonin gene related peptide. It is secreted by the trigeminal neurons. This gene related peptide is causing what? It is a potent vasodilator. And if there is vasodilation, then leakage of fluid. and this leakage of fluid causing what? Meningeal irritation, and which leads to pain. This is the main cause, neurogenic theory of the headache of the migraine. Now this calcitonin gene related peptide, it is generally secreted from the neurons of spinal cord and trigeminal neurons. Neurons of spinal cord and trigeminal neurons, they are secreting calcitonin gene related peptide. Now if you used calcitonin gene related peptide antagonist, okay, that means something negatively sensed. Okay, if you used calcitonin gene related peptide antagonist, then what happens? You preventing the vasodilation. Then no vasodilation is there. Now example is your most important. These drugs are new drugs. Okay, that is your olcegepant, which is given IV intravenously. Next, telcazepant, which is given orally. Next is your ubrogepant, pant, ubrogepant, right? Ubrogepant. Okay, spelling olcegepant, telcazepant, ubrogepant. This is also given orally. Okay, so these drugs are the CGRP, calcitonin gene related peptide antagonists. Okay, so route of administration is also there. Now not only the antagonist, there is also some monoclonal antibody against the CGRP receptor. Okay, so some monoclonal antibody, I am writing MAB for monoclonal antibody. Okay, MAB, against monoclonal antibody against the CGRP receptor, receptors. Okay, so these monoclonal antibodies are your most common is erinumab, and next is your fremanizumab. Next is your galcanezumab. Okay, so the monoclonal antibody, those are prepared against the CGRP receptor. Okay, against the CGRP receptors, these are erinumab. Next is the fremanizumab. Next is the galcanezumab. Okay, so MAB at the end, you can appreciate this is indicating these all are monoclonal antibody. Okay, actually these monoclonal antibody, they are the new recent drug therapy against the migraine, and this approved by US FDA in May 2018 for prophylaxis of migraine. Okay, these monoclonal antibodies. Next, I already told one newest drug, which is your lasmiditan. I already told you lasmiditan. It is causing what? It is the 5-HT1F agonist. I already told you about this drug in triptan group of drugs. You can appreciate this here. Yes, this triptan group of drugs, the 5-HT1F specific agonist is your lasmiditan. Okay, this is only present, this receptor is only present, or this is acting on this 5-HT1F receptor, which is only present on the neuron of the trigeminal neuron. Okay, so this is about the migraine, its pathophysiology, and the drug therapy of the migraines. Okay, so some important points which I want to add here, that is this is something I already told you about the visual aura, and here you can appreciate some things that yes, then when the trigeminocervical complex it is activated, the trigeminocervical complex, when it is activated, it's causing what? It's causing secreting some vasoactive neuropeptides like these ones. I already told these things in previous video. And these these vasoactive peptides are causing your vasodilation of the cranial vessels. Generally, this vasodilation of the cranial vessels is firstly it is shown at your occipital region of the brain. It's firstly shown at the occipital region of the brain. Where it is firstly shown? This is firstly shown at the occipital region of the brain. So this is causing what? This is causing increased blood conduction, or blood flow is increased in the occipital region due to the vasodilation, and this is something which is related to the flashes of light in normal visual field, okay, and these flashes of light in normal visual field, something termed as fortification spectra. This is something termed as fortification spectra. Okay, so this visual field, you can appreciate this in diagram. Here you can appreciate this, the fortification spectra. Yes, something, the flashes of light within your visual field. Okay, this is the fortification spectra. And then what happens? Then the vasodilation is there, and then what happens? The depolarization wave is generated. A depolarization wave is generated. Let's imagine this is the occipital lobe, and at this occipital lobe a depolarization wave is generated, and this depolarization wave is moving towards the frontal lobe. This is the occipital lobe, and this depolarization wave is moving towards the frontal lobe, and this is something occipital. From this depolarization wave is something moving like first occipital lobe, then parietal lobe, then temporal lobe, then frontal lobe. Okay, so this is the movement or progress of the depolarization wave, and the rate of spread of this depolarization wave. So depolarization wave is spreading like occipital lobe, generated at occipital lobe, and then from occipital to parietal lobe, then from parietal to temporal lobe, and then from temporal to frontal lobe. And this depolarization wave is spreading at the rate of 2 to 4 mm per minute. 2 to 4 mm per minute. Okay, and this depolarization wave is something related to fortification spectra or flashes of light in the normal visual field. And there is depolarization, and after this depolarization there is obviously a repolarization. Repolarization is followed the depolarization. This repolarization is the negative visual phenomenon. This repolarization causing some negative visual phenomenon, like scotoma. and the depolarization wave is causing something your flashes of light in the normal visual field, something fortification spectra, which is your positive visual phenomena. This is something your positive visual phenomena. Clear? And the scotoma, that means this is, let's imagine this is your visual field, this is sudden black spot in your visual field. This is something scotoma. Okay, so this scotoma, this is due to the repolarization. Okay, and what is the aura? Aura is, and first of all we are discussing which theory? We are discussing the cortical spreading depression theory. Now why this is called cortical spreading depression? The depolarization wave is moving in the cortex, like from occipital lobe, then to the occipital to the parietal lobe, then parietal to the temporal lobe, and temporal to the frontal lobe. That's why something termed as cortical spreading depression. And this aura, I already told about aura, neuro, which is generally common in this migraine, is your visual aura. This aura is nothing but the, or you can say the cortical spreading depression. This cortical spreading depression, or CSD, the cortical spreading depression is the electrophysiologic equivalent of aura. Electrophysiologic equivalent of aura. Okay, so cortical spreading depression, it is something electrophysiologic equivalent of aura. And this cortical spreading depression, this is why this is called cortical spreading depression, because a depolarizing wave is moving from, generating in occipital lobe and moving towards the frontal lobe. Okay, so this depolarization wave is spreading. This is something about migraine. And let's already I told everything here, the drugs therapy against migraine. Okay, so this is all.